Om Namah Shivaya, Shet. Om Namah Shivaya. Is the doctor here?
Yeah.
Om Namah Shivaya, Hum Prema sir.
Om Namah Shivaya, Sanjay.
Yes, Dr. Ishan is here.
Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya Ganesh ji.
Om Namah Shivaya, Purnima
Om
ji.
Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya, Guruji. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om Namah Shivaya, Abhishek.
Om Namah Shivaya, Master.
Om
Adam
Namah
Prema.
Shivaya. Om Prema Gita.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya,
Om Namah
sir.
Shivaya, Abhishek. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Namaskar sir.
Om Namah
રોટેશન
Shivaya,
ઓફ છે
Rajesh.
તોય કેમ ટર્ન મારી જાય છે?
Om Namah Shivaya sir.
Om Namah Shivaya, Chitra. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namaskar.
Om Namah Shivaya, Deepa. Om Namah Shivaya. Yes, Ralpa, Nikhil. Where is Rishabh?
Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om
Aham
Namah
Prema.
Shivaya, Shashwati. Aham Prema. Okay. Yes, Dr. Ishan. How are you doing?
All fine, sir. Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Hope you are doing all fine.
Yes. Everybody is good. And there have been lots of people here who have gone through COVID and come out of it. But then the misconceptions and the fear and what is to be done, all that needs to be answered by somebody like you. So that's the reason we've invited you. Yeah. So,
Thank you so much, sir, for the invitation.
Yes. Beautiful.
So, we are definitely facing relatively hard times because of this COVID.
Yeah.
It's been over a year now. We have been facing this global pandemic, and the initial phase, just to give a short introduction, the initial
please.
phase was what we had was all about uncertainties. Yet uncertainties are prevailing, which had led to a lot of unwanted fear, and this unwanted fear has led to a lot of deaths and complications in individuals.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about the COVID-19, that it is a viral infection, and there have been many misconceptions that it spreads through contact, it spreads through airborne. What exactly it is, some of the things we were not even fully aware in the beginning. At the same time, when we talk about the symptomatology, that what complaints, what symptoms that a person usually presents with, so we had a lot of confusion in the very first phase. I mean, I'm talking about the March 2020.
Okay.
We had just considered it as cough, cold, fever, throat irritation. These were the only symptoms. Later on, we added loss of taste, loss of smell is the additional symptom. Then drop in the oxygen levels came up as another massive complication, and which led to multi-organ failure, and gradually a person would die. Now, currently we are seeing certain other conditions or other diseases or other opportunistic infections which are also infecting individuals. And sorry to just put forward these words, but at times the way media shows it, it appears as if everybody is going to get these complicated infections. And even if a person in your neighboring surrounding who is having a simple allergic cough or one or two sneezes, that person is also so much scared that probably I have got a fungal infection and I'm going to die soon. So it is very, very important for all of us to understand all these aspects, that who are at risk, what all symptoms they present with, so that it is easier for us to distinguish and we don't take each and every symptom. Now, because when we put up some of these symptoms on Google, most of the time it shows that, okay, you got this, you got that. And that unnecessarily creates a massive fear. And this massive fear is a biggest devastating factor for us right now.
Absolutely. The moment fear seeps in, people start to lose their immunity. People start to lose their faith, and they just give up on life. I have seen a lot of people, young people, who have been put on oxygen and ventilators and all that. But the moment they are put on it, they're like, life is over for me, and they want to come out of it. It's very strange that they don't want to remain in a hospital, knowing that if they come back home, it will be even more worse. You know, first and foremost, like it's Dr. Ishan here has been with dealing with COVID patients right from the moment the pandemic started, last year. So how many people have you treated so far? How many people have you, you know?
Ac-
Uh,
Actually, sir, I don't have the count of how many people,
mm,
but we have been treating, I think it would be more than thousands for
thousand.
sure. That is very, very much sure because
Yeah, yeah.
had a privilege to work in almost all the departments,
Mm,
including the screening, including
mm,
the quarantine centers,
mm,
isolation wards,
mm,
and mini ICU setups,
mm.
and now working in the war room. So have worked almost at all the possible setups
Okay.
for
And
COVID.
one important thing that I want you to ask you is, like, you have been in close proximity with all these people, and how did you not get it, or how were you during that phase? What was
Uh,
that?
Okay, sir. I
Mm,
would just put hold to this question at this particular moment because I will be answering this. In This was supposed to be my some conclusion at the
okay,
end of it.
fine, fine.
You want to open up
Yeah,
the secret in
fine,
the
fine.
beginning,
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. That's
so
okay.
I would
So we
definitely
will do
answer
what,
this.
here at this point in time. We will take the talk with you from here on, and then after some time, we will let people ask you the question that is
Hundred
bothering them
percent,
about this. Hmm? So you can,
100%.
yeah. So people here, feel free to ask Ishan anything that is bothering you, anything that is creating a panic situation in your life because of this. Because lots of people I've seen unnecessarily are going through a depression, unnecessarily. There
True.
must be somebody in that society who's suffering from it, but this person staying, say, 10 blocks away, he's already in the panic situation and he feels that he's got it, and that atmosphere is so bad that he creates a problem for the family, you know out of fear. सो एनीथिंग, जो कुछ भी आपको पूछना है, आप ईशान हिंदी में भी बोलते हैं, ठीक है, तो आप हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हो, हिंदी में भी पूछ सकते हो। तो प्लीज कोई भी डाउट आपके मन में हो कोविड से रिलेटेड, थोड़ा सेंसिबल क्वेश्चन रहे लेकिन, ठीक है। हाँ, सेंसिबल क्वेश्चन, सेंसिबिलिटी का ग्रेडेशन मुझे नहीं पता, लेकिन अपने हिसाब से सोच लो कि क्या पूछ रहे हो, नहीं तो कुछ ऐसे सवाल आ जाएंगे। एनीवेज, कुल्फी खा सकती हूँ क्या कोविड के टाइम में, वो सब वैसे सब सवाल मत करो। ओके, sensible questions, anything that is working on your heart and bringing in fear, you may please ask doctor, huh? And there are, Ishan, there have been lots of people who have come out of the COVID in this particular group also, and there are some who are going through it. The entire families have been going through it. So please help them out in whatever way you can. I will give
Surely.
the podium to you. Please go ahead. I will come back in some time, and then
All right, sir.
yeah, yeah. Lots of love. Om Namah Shivaya. Please go ahead.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Um, So as per the agenda we had for the discussion, is that what we should be doing if somebody in my family or if I have been detected with COVID-19. So first very basic thing is that we have to monitor the symptoms, and second thing is that we have to look forward for comorbidities. Now I would just add this word comorbidity. So what do we mean by comorbidities? Comorbidities yani any long standing condition, disease condition which is there, which includes blood pressure, diabetes, any history of heart surgeries done, thyroid issues, any autoimmune diseases, any cancer. So these are considered as comorbidities. which are so-called not cured, but they can be kept under control. So whenever anybody who is detected with COVID-19, now in them, monitoring of the symptoms and monitoring the oxygen level is very, very essential. Now, in the first wave, as I mentioned earlier, that the symptoms, we have been adding the symptoms gradually. The early phase, we had added that it was just cough, cold, sore throat, fever. Later on, we added watering of eyes, headache. Then later on, we added loss of taste, loss of smell. Now we have been adding hypoxia. Now, in the second wave, we had been seeing something a little funny or stringent thing, which is called as happy hypoxia. Happy hypoxia meaning that a person is absolutely fine, but when you check their oxygen level, it shows quite low. Even if a person is looking fit, fine, the oxygen level may show 78 or it may show 82, or sometimes it may even show 68. So that is something which is a worrisome factor for us. So anybody who has detected COVID, so they have to monitor their symptoms. So what are the warning signs or what are the warning symptoms that you should be reporting either to your doctor, or if you are staying in Mumbai, then you would report it to your BMC helpline number. These symptoms include if the fever is persisting for more than 4 days and the temperature is more than 101 degree. So in that case, if it is 5th day and the temperature is not settling despite of you taking the treatment, you will immediately report it. Second thing is that there are certain blood investigations if you have done. Most commonly, we ask complete blood count, CBC, we ask CRP, we ask D-dimer, we ask ferritin, we ask LDH, and one CT scan of the chest. So in any of these reports, if any abnormality is detected, like CRP levels are high, or CT scan is suggesting lung infection, and it has got in the conclusion area, it mentions severity score. So it has got a severity score mentioned. So these all things, these two parameters, you would report it to your doctor. Third, if the oxygen level drops below 95%, in that case, you will have to report it to your doctor. Now, or if you are experiencing any symptom like chest discomfort, difficulty in breathing, or feeling breathless on walking a shorter distance, you will immediately report it to your doctor, or you will report it to the BMC helpline number. Now, why it is essential? Because if these symptoms, or if these are the things which uh, these things actually indicate that there is a possibility of a complication, or there is a possibility of a relatively severe infection. So these patients cannot be treated at home. These patients will require a medical setup for their further management. Now, in most of the time, the family doctor or the treating physician whom you have been consulting for COVID would be, or for that instance, even BMC helpline number would definitely help you out. I don't know currently the crowd is only from Mumbai or no. So that is why I'm not stating that everybody would be reporting into the BMC helpline number. But if you are from Mumbai, in Mumbai, we have worked up something which is called as ward war rooms. So you can call on your war rooms helpline number, and there we have 24/7 doctors present, and they quickly assess your these conditions, and they help. Okay, so this is how, these are some of the warning signs or warning symptoms that you should be reporting to your family doctor. Apart from this, if anybody who has got COVID and if they are already on the therapy, some things that we suggest them to do is that to monitor their pulse rate, their oxygen levels, and their temperature 3 to 4 times a day, and keep a chart of it for 14 days. That is from the first day of onset of symptom, or from the first day they have been detected or they have been tested for COVID-19, or they have tested for COVID, they have tested COVID positive. So they have to maintain this chart for 14 days in any given point of time if the oxygen level shows lower. As I mentioned that in this particular wave, we have been seeing something which is happy hypoxia. So in that case, you have to immediately report it so that you are transferred to a medical setup for the better management. So this is the first part, is that what measures should I take? And yes, if you are in the home isolation, so there are certain criterias of home isolation. The first thing is that if only one member out of the family, out of the entire family is positive, so that person will be staying in one room only. That room should be a master bedroom. That is, it should be a self-contained room, and the person should not be going out of the room at all for the phase of entire 14 days. There have been a lot of revised guidelines. Some guidelines had suggested 10 days, some guidelines had suggested 3 days once the symptoms disappear. But for safety, we consider the buffer period. So 14 days is the very good phase where the infectivity completely goes away. So you have to remain in, you have to confine yourself to one room only, not moving out. Try to have minimal contact in the room. Don't touch different multiple objects. If you are touching it, so just make sure that after the use of those objects, you sanitize them. The most common areas that we touch is either doorknobs or the electric switches. So ideally with a wet wipe or with a sanitizer and tissue paper, you can just wipe it off, clean it off, so that the contact does not remain for a very long time, or the virus do not remain on the surface for a longer time. And in this phase of home isolation, you will be monitoring yourself. Suppose if somebody who is hospitalized, so once that person returns from the hospital, the person will be in the isolation for 3 to 7 days, depending upon that whether the person was discharged on the moment the hospital authorities find or the consultants find that the patient is stable and is safe to go home for the patient, so they discharge it. So once the patient is discharged, depending upon the present clinical condition and when the patient was taken, what was the presenting complaint, on that basis the home quarantine or the home isolation period ranges from 3 days to 7 days. In some cases, it may range up to 10 days also. So post hospitalization also, that care has to be taken. That care we have to we have to take that parameters under consideration. This is regarding what measures should I take if I'm diagnosed with COVID-19. Now the second is the vaccination. The most discussed, or I would rather say the most memed area as on date, is that should I take vaccine if I had recently COVID-19? So if somebody who had got recently COVID-19, in that case, you have to wait for a phase of 6 months because it is stated that when you get COVID, so your body develops an immunity, and this immunity lasts for 6 months. Though in some of the cases who had been affected in the first wave, we have been still seeing them with antibodies present till date. So it is difficult for us to comment on that, but yes, definitely 6 months is an ideal gap, because within the 6 months you will not get prone to the infection again. So that provides a good natural immunity to you. So the ideal gap between your COVID-19 infection and your first shot of vaccine should be at least 6 months. If you take after 6 months, that's absolutely fine. Now, sometimes there comes a tricky situation that you have taken the first dose of vaccine, and after taking the first dose of vaccine, after 15 to 20 days, somebody has turned COVID positive. And in that case, what you would do? In that case also, you can definitely wait for 6 months from the day of your sample tested positive. Or even you can take within 3 months, that's absolutely fine. But then ideally you should wait for 6 months. That ensures the safety for that 6 months period as well. So need not worry about that. The third thing is regarding recurrence. those people who were infected in the first wave and the current phase in the second wave, we had not seen many recurrences. I think hardly we have reported 3 or 4 recurrences till now, made by and large. So uh, the recurrence rate is almost negligible, and because the body is, as I mentioned, that it is providing a good natural immunity. So this natural immunity is able to look after so that your body does not get the reinfection. Now, just to tell you in a simple steps that what happens when your body is exposed to the virus. So when your body is exposed to the virus, your defense cells try destroying the virus. Now, when they are destroying the virus, some in uh, in the first phase, they immediately try to gulp down the virus or destroy it immediately by gulping it down or by destroying the viral fragments. Then some of these cells get converted, or they help our body's second line of defense cells, and these cells, they produce so-called what we call is antibodies, and some of these antibodies producing cell get stored in the blood or in the bone marrows, and they we call them as memory cells. And whenever our body is exposed to the same virus again, they immediately produce the antibodies and destroy the virus and do not allow this virus to infect us again. So this is what is the mechanism how our body reacts. So once we are exposed to the virus, in majority of the cases, we really do not get the recurrence. So you need not worry about that. Uh, the next that we had is that what measures should we take post COVID? Now, if somebody who had been infected with COVID, depending upon the severity, now we usually grade these patients into 4 categories. The first category is asymptomatics, the second category is mildly symptomatics, the third category is moderately symptomatics, the fourth category is severely symptomatics. Now, uh, all the care for all these 4 categories of individuals vary, because asymptomatics, they never had any complications. Probably at times that person might have got infected and he did not even know that he was infected and he passed by. So in those cases, if nothing or nothing majorly done, is absolutely okay. When we consider mildly symptomatic patients, so in them, the the therapy that goes on now, currently ICMR has got totally different set of guidelines for therapy. I would not add to that what medicines we have to take, because I think most of you have googled it, or most of you might be aware about the line of treatment that is given. So when the when the treatment is given, so there are certain medicines even after the antiviral or the antibacterial medication course is over. There are certain medicines like blood thinners, vitamin C and vitamin zinc, which goes on for the duration from 15 days to 30 days. So yes, after you have recovered, still your blood thinners and your multivites will continue. You have to take them on a regular basis till 30th day. That is the only thing that for a mildly symptomatic person should be doing. A moderately symptomatic person, if this person has comorbidities like blood pressure, diabetes, so these are the people, they will require monitoring of blood sugar and blood pressures at home, even if they have recovered from and they have come back from the hospital. uh, Now, if they are moderate, when they are moderately symptomatic, so they do experience some form of difficulty in breathing, or they were put on oxygen for some phase of their treatment. So in them, there is some amount of lung affection which is present. So in those individuals, they have been asked to do certain set of breathing exercises. So these breathing exercises, they have to continue doing it till they achieve the adequate lung functioning. Now, depending upon how much percentile the lung is affected, the duration of these exercises, or for how many months you have to do these exercises, that will be decided on those basis. These exercises are very, very simple breathing techniques. And apart from that, there is a 3-ball spirometry, which is usually given either by the hospital, or which you can purchase it from the chemist. So that is something which you have to see, and that helps us in assessing the lung functionality as well, that how much breathing you have, how much breathing capacities you have got back. Next is for severely symptomatic patients. Sometimes even after discharge from the hospitals, they do require oxygen support even at home. So at times they are completely stable, they have stayed in the hospital premises over 20 days, and they are back after those 20 days of hard struggle. So once they are back home, so they have to be at times put on oxygen. So you have to have a handy oxygen machine available at home, and usually either overnight they are put on oxygen therapy, or after the exertion, that they have been on bed rest, they have got up, they had gone to washroom, or they had a bath, and after that the oxygen level drops, so they are put on the oxygen only for that very short period of time. So this really helps, uh, and the duration of this oxygen, how many liters we have to give, for how much time we have to give. So that is ideally, it is given to you on your discharge paper, or your treating physician usually tells. So you have to keep a track of it. And yes, this has to be done along with the regular breathing exercises. Now, apart from this, the breathing exercises and spirometry, oxygen, one thing that from a dietary point of view that we have to monitor is that ideally post discharge, this holds true mainly for moderate to severely affected patient, is that because they do experience weakness for a very long period of time, and this weakness can persist up to 6 months. So in them, we suggest some basic dietary changes. First is that the diet should be having at least 25 to 40% of protein. 25 to 40% of protein. Now, uh, the main sources of protein is dal, pulses, paneer, curd. So these are the main sources of proteins for vegetarians. I'm quite sure this massive crowd might be vegetarian. If there are people who take non-vegetarian food as well, so in them, uh, egg and fishes are added sources of proteins. Uh, so protein should be 25 to 40% of your routine diet. The second is saturated fats should be around 25% again. Uh, then carbohydrates should be approximately 20% to 25%, and remaining is dietary fiber. Now, why dietary fiber is also essential in this case is that because of the medicines, and at the same time, when you are put on zinc therapy, the person naturally gets constipated. And if the fibers are not there, if they end up straining, and because the blood thinners are on, they end up having bleeding from the toilet area, which makes it even difficult to manage, because at one point blood thinners cannot be stopped, and at the other point there is a bleeding. So it puts us into a tricky situation. So that is something which you have to do. Apart from that, there is a basic walk or exercises for 30 to 45 minutes that you have to do. This does not hold true for severely symptomatic patients, because severely symptomatic patients are already on oxygen therapy at times at home, so they don't have to do these exercises for 30 to 45 minutes. But yeah, mild to moderately affected cases should be doing some basic stretching exercises and breathing exercises for 30 to 40 minutes. So these are the dietary changes that post COVID that we should be looking after. Now, next on the agenda was, what is a black fungus? Now, this is something very, very interesting that at times we have put up that we might be seeing another pandemic of black fungus very soon. Or some states have already declared that black fungus is also an added pandemic along with the COVID-19. Now, the symptoms of black fungus is something that probably any one of us would experience when there is a seasonal fluctuation. It may be like simple cough, runny nose. We may experience the pain in this region, maxillary region, or in the frontal region. So these symptoms are pretty much common for any sinus infection. So this black fungus is an opportunistic infection. Opportunistic infection meaning that whenever any person's immune system has dropped down significantly, only that person is prone for these kind of fungal infections. Okay, so it is not something that we see in almost every patient or in every individual. Now, why this COVID-19, this black fungus has emerged in this particular time frame is that majorly the individuals who are in hospital setups are the people who have got uncontrolled diabetes. Now, so the immune system has already gone for a toss. Now, when they are in the hospital premises and when they have infection in the lung, now there is a massive inflammation going on in the lung. And once you have destroyed the virus, the body has destroyed the virus. But to settle down this inflammation, at times we have to use certain steroidal medication. When these steroidal medications are used, it further drops the immunity down and it also results in increase in the blood sugar level. So this is one of the reason at times a normal individual may also experience a rise in blood sugar level when that person is in the hospital setup. So this increases the blood sugar level. So again, the immune system further goes down. And when these people are put on oxygen therapy, so because either the nasal prongs are there or the mask is there, so this area and the way we have got a weather condition which is very hot, humid at this particular moment, so this becomes an ideal situation for the growth of the fungus. So that is why we see these kind of infection, black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus, whatsoever we name it. Yellow fungus, white fungus, we have not seen many cases. Only black fungus or mucormycosis we are seeing very often. But it is only seen in these kind of individuals. If we take out the statistics that who have got these black fungus infection, then 95% of the patients are the ones who have been in the ICU setup or who had been having uncontrolled diabetes and they had been put upon steroidal therapy and they were on oxygen. So these are the individuals who have got these mucormycosis and not the general population. So there is nothing to worry about. If you develop any of such symptoms, you are at home, do not Google your symptom and come to the conclusion, okay, I have got black fungus and now my nose, my eyes, my everything will be surgically excluded. No, nothing of such sort will happen. So you really need not worry about the black fungus so much because it is only seen majorly in this particular type of individual or this particular category of people. Now, as Guruji had asked one question that how am I looking after my own health? This COVID-19 has taken me back into my school times. Why am I using the word it has taken me back into my school times? Is because we don't have any massive rocket science. Now these are the next, what I'm going to talk is all a general precautionary method that all of us can follow with ease. It's not difficult to follow. We can follow it with ease. We don't have to, we are not actually, there's no rocket science involved behind this. And what is our general science school textbook in the 4th, 5th standard used to state? That a the healthy habits included multiple things. It included, first thing is a personal hygiene. Now, personal hygiene included the taking care of your physical health. Physical health included eating a good balanced food that probably we discussed when we were talking about the recovery or post hospitalization type. To have a balanced food, the balanced food is something which includes all the nutrients, that is, all the major nutrients, all the minor nutrients. So taking proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals. Now these are all uh, the part of our, if these all are included in our daily diet. So a good diet or a good eating habits. The second, drinking adequate amount of water, at least drinking 2.5 to 4 liters of water every day. Third, adequate rest. Adequate rest meaning it ranges from 5 hours to 8 hours depending upon a person's need. Every person has a different demand for the sleep. So it ranges from 5 hours to 8 hours. So adequate rest or adequate sleep. Good exercises or exercising every day for 45 minutes to 1 hour. So this is very essential. I will come over some aspects of exercising in next 5 minutes. So exercising for 45 minutes to 1 hour. These exercises may include walking, jogging, cycling, probably cycling and swimming, and of course swimming or aerobics. Now some of these things are probably shut at this particular moment of time, but at least walking you can do within your house. Also you can walk, you can do aerobic exercises, the basic exercises or basic stretching exercises for 45 minutes. You can definitely do it at your home as well. So exercising. Now these are the physical aspects of the health. Now there are, at times we talk about that whenever I want to define anybody who is a healthy person, so we just don't talk about the physical aspect. There is another aspect as well, that is the mental aspect. Why? Is because if you are physically ill, you will not be able to concentrate mentally. If you are mentally disturbed, even you will show some symptoms on your body as well. So second important part is a mental aspect, which is very very essential. uh, so you have to look after your mental health as well. Now what does this mental health or the emotional health mean? How do we look after our mental or emotional health? So yes, when you are exercising, your brain tends to release certain happy hormones. Now when your brain, some these happy hormones are released, so that leads to a mood elation. You feel happy about it. Now these being happy boosts the immune system. As Guruji rightly said in his speech, that mental status is very very essential, and it really helps in boosting the immune system. It keeps you really happy. The happiness at times keeps you really healthy. So yes, it does matter. uh, Another thing, sorry to get slightly deviated from the talk, is that at times when somebody who is in the who is moderately or severely ill, now the patients who have recovered, they had a strong desire or a strong will to survive. They had a desire to fight and survive. So one of the case that we had seen is this patient who was admitted in one of our COVID center. He was a bypass. He had undergone a bypass surgery. He was diabetic. He was hypertensive. He was having multiple problems. He was in the ICU for 68 days, and still he recovered. This case we had reported in the month of November 2020. He recovered completely. He's still fit and surviving. He at When he got discharged from the COVID care center, at home also he was on oxygen for around 7 days, and after that his body was able to look after everything. The one thing that while I was talking to some of the intensivists of the COVID care center, they said that this guy had a really very strong will. He had a desire to live. So that is something which has really helped him to recover. So yes, this has led to, yes, the mindset of a person plays a very, very crucial role. And at the same time, we have seen individuals who have got scared and their immune system has gone for a toss. At times they've gone into, which is so-called, most of you might have googled this terminology, cytokine storm syndrome, and they had succumbed. So yes, this mental state plays a very, very crucial role. So exercising is one part which helps in maintaining a good mental health. Second is moving away from the negativity. Moving away from the negativity meaning is that we are constantly surrounded by media as well as social media, where at every moment, currently last 1 year, we have been only seeing posts related to COVID, 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 and only COVID. In between, there were some distractions, but again, it is back to the COVID. So staying little away from those posts, that really helps, because these posts at times they spread a state of fear in us, and the fear does not allow the positive emotions to surface. So this leads to another trouble, and it actually deteriorates our immune system. So yes, staying away from these posts, rather spreading the positivity across the people, is very essential. Next, meditation. It really helps. Uh, Apart from that, for me, what has helped me is pursuing your hobby. For me, my pursuing my hobby has really helped. So pursuing your hobby really helps, that in a day when you are exercising, or you are shelling out at least 1 to 1.5 hour for your own self. So in there, pursuing your hobby can be anything. It may be dancing, it may be singing, it can be anything. Just put yourself or engross yourself for half an hour dedicating to your hobby really helps. Apart from that, yes, discussing things or calling up your friends, your relatives helps. But only the thing here, there is an asterisk to this. Conditions applied, that you are not going to discuss about COVID, or you're not going to discuss about any negativity, or you're not going to discuss about any such news around you. So yes, even that helps. So this is how you can look after your physical health. You can look after your mental health. Now, when we have a good physical health, when we have a good mental health, that naturally boosts our immune system. Till date, in case of COVID, we have been only hearing about herd immunity. But it is very essential for all of us to know that herd immunity is a second step of immune system. The first step of immune system is innate immunity. When you are looking after your physical and your mental health, it boosts your innate immune system. When it boosts your innate immune system, it does not allow any form of infection to enter your body. So this is very, very crucial aspect. And this is exactly the way how I have been looking after my own health. Yes, and apart from that, basic sanitation procedures, like when you have gone out, once you are coming back from out or from your work, definitely once you are back home, take a shower, change your clothes, wash your clothes in hot boiling water, do not touch any surfaces. If you happen to touch anything, then just see to it that you sanitize your hands, you wash your hands. And when you are in crowd, or when you are dealing with other individuals, make sure that you have mask intact. So these are basic sanitation protocols that we have to follow. So that's why I mentioned that COVID has taken me back into the school days. There is nothing a kind of a rocket science that we have been dealing with. We are just dealing with the basic. So the COVID has come back to teach us that, boss, what you had studied in the school, it's now time for you to implement in your day-to-day life. With this, I end my session. Now I'm open for question and answers.
Hello, sir. Piyush.
Hello.
Yes, it's
Yeah, tell
Piyush.
me.
Yes. Sir, I have been infected since 12th, like 18th or 19th day.
Sorry, your voice is very dull. Hello.
Yes, is it? I'm audible.
Yeah,
Am
now
I
audible.
audible?
Tell me.
Yes. Sir, I have been infected with COVID since 12th of this month, and
Okay.
12th is first day, and after that, since 5-6 days, mild fever is there, and then fever started 101. Okay, and this will continue on up to 11th or 12th day. Okay, so
Okay.
during this period, I have smell. I didn't lost my smell, but for one day I just got lost my smell for one day, for just one
Okay.
day, and then I just got back my smell and taste. And
Perfect.
after 11th day, my fever is settled around 98.2, 97.9, like this. This is the situation. And my there is a cough. There is a still cough in, and thing is that I has a weakness, and whenever I talk for a long, my nerves so सांस फूलने लगता है slightly. This kind of thing is happening, and so I want to know how many days this is this COVID is is I'm COVID is gone, or these infections are still these symptoms are still persisting. How many days? And because fever is, I don't have any fever right now from 7 to 8 days. So
Okay. So to answer your question, is that the symptoms of the throat irritation or cough, the
yes.
weakness, it goes on from 6 weeks to 6 months.
Okay.
So these things might persist for still next few days.
Okay.
Now, if you are going to take a good amount of water, if you are going to take what dietary things I told you, in those things will help in shortening the duration of these symptoms. It will help you in better recovery from the weakness. It will help you, and the breathing exercises will definitely improvise your lung function, and the so-called difficulty in breathing that you're experiencing on exertion. So that will also settle. But yes, you can consider these things will go on for 6 weeks to 6 months.
6 to 6. Okay.
6 weeks to 6 months, yeah.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, yes, myself Ramesh, sir.
Yeah, tell me,
Sir, already I have taken the first vaccine, but after taking the first vaccine, after 30 days, I have donated blood. Is there any issue, sir?
No issues.
I have donated blood, but now I'm feeling right okay. I don't have any symptom, but I have donated, but my parents are saying there may be any problem. Is there any issue, sir? Can I take the second vaccine right now?
You had taken which vaccine? Because different vaccines have different durations. Like if you have taken Covaxin, the second dose is 28 days. If you have taken Covishield, with current guidelines, it is 12 weeks. That is 84 days.
Yes, sir. I have taken Covishield only.
So if it is only 30 days, you will have to wait for another 54 days for your second shot.
No. Okay, sir. Second shot. But in between, I have donated blood. Is there an issue?
That's okay. No problem. It will not affect the efficacy of the first dose of vaccine at all.
Okay. So no issue. No. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No issues at all.
Okay. No, I'm afraid. Is there an issue?
No, there are.
I had a question.
Sure, no. Tell me.
Hi, Dr. Ishan.
Hi.
I had a question regarding the variants in the mutant of the virus.
Mumbai, doctor. Answer the lab.
Yeah. So we have been seeing that the virus has been mutating, and in this particular wave, there has been a different mutation. So have you? What are the chances? So if there is a further mutation, we are still uncertain of what will happen and how will the current guidelines differ. But what have you seen different from the first mutant and the current mutated version of virus?
Only the one major thing we saw is that the mutant in this second particular wave has affected younger individuals much more than the older ones. The second thing that the in first wave we had seen very few patients presenting with happy hypoxia. In this particular scenario, we have seen more patients with happy hypoxia, and another problem is that the oxygen level dropping very rapidly. Like at night, a person's oxygen level is 92, and next day morning, when the person calls it, it is dropped to 84, 86. So that is something which is little challenging. So that is why monitoring of oxygen levels 4 times a day at home when somebody is in home isolation is very essential. And we do it in two ways. The first way is we do it at rest, and second, we measure after 6 minutes of walk. This 6 minutes of walk is something which helps us to understand how tolerant that person's what is the tolerance level to the exertion. So yes, this particular difference we have been seeing, that it has affected the younger generation, and the happy hypoxia and sudden drop in oxygen level is quite there, and it is affecting this particular wave has shown us many patients with major lung involvement. Like in the first wave, we had seen most of the patients with lung affection of 25 to 30%, 15 to 18, 15 to 20%. This time we had seen more of individuals with 80%, 70% of lung affection. This was the only difference. So
in continuation, so if a vaccine was made according to the first mutation, and if the virus is mutating now going ahead, so will there be a difference in the efficacy of that vaccine?
as on date, we are not able to see any difference in that, because the vaccines that have been worked up, they are worked up at this moment. What we have at available, that Covishield and Covaxin. The one Covaxin works on the core protein, and the Covishield works on the spike protein. So both these things are going to remain the same in the virus. Mutation is not going to majorly change the basic structural patterns. So it may not have any major difference in the efficacy of the vaccination.
Om Namah Shivaya, sir. Can I ask question?
Sure.
I have 5 questions. So first thing, आपने जैसे बोला that we have to monitor the oxygen level, and my uncle is also almost having sickle cell anemia, and his oxygen level is almost a little bit low. So in that case, if someone is having sickle cell anemia, then how we could able to know whether the level of oxygen is low due to sickle cell, or in addition to that, other viruses there in the body?
So very simple is that when we talk about such comorbidities, as I mentioned in the beginning, now there is another thing is that there are individuals with COPD as well, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders. They also have relatively slightly lowered oxygen. So what we do is that in the earlier phase, we monitor their baseline SpO2 levels. Now, if for these individuals, the baseline SpO2 is already 92 to 93. So in them, drop below 90 would be something which I'm going to be worried about.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So that is something which would be your.
So below 90, we have to worry about.
Yeah. So after measuring the baseline levels, if the baseline is 92 to 95, then yes, below 90 would be your worrisome factor. But if it is below 90, then in that scenario, the person should be in the medical setup itself.
Okay, sir. Sir, someone is tested negative in polymeric chain reaction, and dimer also negative, and everything is negative. Antigen is obviously negative, but she is having some percentage of cough or infection in the lungs. Then is it the post-COVID symptom?
Sorry.
Everything, all the tests.
All the reports are normal, negative.
Yes,
Correct.
yes. But the CT scan report is there. It means 10% of lungs out of 25, 10% is there.
Yeah.
So
So
she is
sometimes
okay.
what happens? Sometimes what happens is that when a person gets infected, the virus migrates from the naso or the oropharynx to the lungs, and when this happens, when they get lung infection, the immune cells, they react relatively in the robust way, so they start producing antibodies and at a quicker rate. So in these scenarios, the nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal virus is destroyed immediately. So this results in the false negativity of the RT-PCR test. So yes, if the lung affection if the lung shows affection, that means that the person is having COVID, and the person should be treated for COVID.
ओके सर सर मेरे एक फ्रेंड के पापा को एक इम्यून डिफिशियंसी सिंड्रोम का डिजीज था एंड ही इज आल्सो टेकिंग द सेम वायरल मेडिसिन रिट्रोवायरस मेडिसिन सो उनके फैमिली में जब इन्फेक्शन हुआ तो डर था कि बिकॉज उनको है इम्यून डिफिशियंसी सिंड्रोम का तो उनको डिजीज ज्यादा हो जाएगा लेकिन उनको कुछ भी नहीं हुआ इज इट द मेडिकेशन व्हिच ही वाज टेकिंग रिट्रोवायरस का इसीलिए उनको ज्यादा इम्यूनिटी पहले से वायरस का था
No. These both are totally different type of viruses.
ओके सर मेरी यहाँ पे ग्रुप में ही फ्रेंड है जिसका कि कॉन्स्टिपेशन हुआ है वैक्सीन लेने के बाद तो आपने जिससे बोला उसको ज्यादा भी मिल्क डाइटरी प्रोडक्ट्स खाना चाहिए या और कुछ आप सजेस्ट करेंगे
Dairy product and at the same time taking a good amount of dairy products. So there are two ways of releasing the constipation. First is the use of prebiotics and the second is the use of probiotics. The dairy products belong to the second category of probiotics. The prebiotics, something which includes are the dietary fibers. These dietary fibers we get in vegetables, salads and fruits. So using the combination of both these will definitely help relieving the constipation.
Okay, sir, I had all the symptoms and I am having itching in my throat. So is it the post-COVID symptom or nothing like that, other infection?
You have already got COVID?
No, all the symptoms were there and we all have gone through medication. After that, I'm fine. But having itching in my throat.
How many days back?
It's almost 25 days, sir.
No, then this is not related to COVID. It may be the allergic one.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
My name is Rakesh. Hello, doctor.
Tell me.
Yeah, my name is Rakesh. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for this excellent session. It demystified a lot of things that we had in mind, and especially my question is related to the vaccines. I have not taken any vaccine so far, though I am entitled to, but I have not taken any vaccine, particularly because, or mainly because I'm a little confused as to which vaccine to take, whether to take or not, and reading about the efficacy level of different vaccines and its origins and its longevity or the expiry period. So my question is basically about vaccine. How long does the vaccine protect? If we are taking it, how long will it protect us from the vaccine? That is the time period.
Okay, so probably the scientists suggest that the immunity may range from 6 months to 1 year. But as the vaccine is a very, very new thing, it has just come up in last 4 months or last 6 months. We have not yet actually able to test for the duration, that what is the longevity of this particular vaccine, because अगर वो डिजीज कोई आए हुए अभी हार्डली 1 साल हुआ है तो मैं कैसे बोल सकता हूँ कि ये लाइफ लॉन्ग इम्यूनिटी देगा आपको, because the disease is not if we would have been seeing this disease over the last several years, then probably I would have told that this vaccine might produce this lifelong immunity or something. But at this moment, difficult to actually predict on reality scale. I'm talking on scientific scale. 6 months to 1 year is something that you get immunity. Probably there will come up a concept of a booster doses which might be separated by the gap of 1 year. I'm not too sure at this particular moment, but difficult to predict how long the vaccine is going to be protecting you, or what is the ideal duration. But yes, on scientific basis, 6 months to 1 year is the one that is a period that the vaccine is going to for sure protect you.
And which vaccine to take?
One more. You can take any vaccine. All of them have got all these vaccines have, as I mentioned, they have got a different mechanism of action. One works on core antigen, one works on surface antigen. So you can take any vaccine. They are equally safe. They are equally protective.
Thank you, sir.
And just the only thing is that when you are taking this vaccine, at times your family doctor asks you to do the tests. So if you have taken Covishield, in that case, the normal COVID antibodies test will not show any deflection in the antibody level. So you might not have any raised antibody. For that particular thing, you have to go and ask for a specific test which is called as antibodies for spike protein. If you have taken Covishield, if you have taken Covaxin, then you can take the general antibodies test.
सर थैंक यू सर। मैं अहमदाबाद से बोल रही हूँ। मुझे कोविड हुए लास्ट अप्रैल में हुआ था और उसके बाद मुझे एडमिट भी किया गया था, रेमडेसिविर इंजेक्शंस भी लिए थे। लास्ट 1 वीक से मेरे लेफ्ट आर्म्स में बहुत ज्यादा पेन है, फुल हैंड में नहीं, सिर्फ लेफ्ट आर्म में, और समथिंग कंटिन्यूस 24 आवर्स पेन रह रहा है मुझे। तो ये पोस्ट कोविड का कुछ इशू है या फिर मुझे डॉक्टर को कंसल्ट करना चाहिए?
No, this is not a post-COVID issue. This is not a post-COVID issue.
समथिंग मुझे डायबिटीज या कोलेस्ट्रॉल वगैरह कुछ भी नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी मुझे पेन बहुत सीवियर हो रहा है। तो
No, this is not appearing to be a post-COVID issue because the muscle pains are usually generalized. They are not confined to a specific region. So it doesn't appear to be a post-COVID issue. There might be some local issue, maybe a nerve compression of the in the cervical spine, or maybe a kind of a postural issue with your shoulder. Nothing appears to be like a post-COVID type of a scenario.
ये समटाइम मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे हार्ट में 1 मिनट के लिए, 1 सेकेंड के लिए समथिंग प्रॉब्लम हुआ है, तो मुझे किस डॉक्टर को भी जाके?
No, at first time you should be showing it to either your family doctor or one good MD physician.
Okay, thank you sir, thank you so much.
So, good evening sir.
Good evening.
So I have a question on this post-COVID inflammatory syndromes. Okay. So after the discharge from the hospital, and then I had been having elevated levels of liver enzymes. That is, especially GGT was around hovering between 312 to 183 to 312. That is GGT. Okay. And when I consulted my family doctor, and in spite of that, I was being detected for gastric. Okay. And when I asked my doctor, he told all these are the post-COVID syndrome. Okay. So again, I took the second opinion of that one, and they started giving a treatment on the gastritis, and then the other doctor, who was a laptop, he told me that these are all the post-COVID, this one only. But I was worried. So my question to you, so my GGT level going up to, because it should be around 40, this one, and it is 312. The last tested was 15 days back, and after that the doctor told wait for 1 month and test again and we'll see. So my concern overall here is, how long? See, there is a long COVID and all these post-COVID syndromes and all these things are there. Okay. So this is not the end. What we are saying is, coming out of the COVID is not the end of the game. This is all implications are there, and that viral residual virus, as you have been starting from 2020 you were there, how long that virus will be residual inside the body, causing this type of damages inside the organs of the body? This is my first question.
So answer to this question is very simple, is that these are not post-viral related inflammation. These are your body's response or the medications that you have been put on that has led to these kind of issues. At times remdesivir or favipiravir do induce lung injuries, liver injuries. So you need not worry about it. These injuries will settle without any complications.
Okay.
That's very simple. At times, probably your hepatologist or your family physician might put you on some liver supportive enzymes, and that would be probably the end of the game. You need not worry about it at all. And keeping your diet relatively more simple, and not adding extra spices or not adding to extra fat or junk food to your diet would definitely help in resolving these issues even at a faster scale.
Okay. Okay. And one more means we can take gastric and all. As you told, that is probiotics. You have to take more. That is curds and all these things.
Yes.
Correct. Milk, sir.
Milk also you can take. If you are tolerating well, if your body is tolerating milk well, you can definitely take. No issues with that at all.
Okay. And you talked on happy hypoxia, sir. Correct. So
Yeah.
my question is very generic here. Very generic. It is not concerned to any of this one. A person is there. He is having COVID positive and asymptomatic, and he don't because as he is not having any symptoms, he will be having this one. Means he will not be. There is no chance for him to test or doing something, and his breathing will also be fine. And how will be sensing the happy of hypoxia, sir?
So what happens is that when you are
one completely
taking
asymptomatic
treatment,
and no test has been taken. Yeah.
No, that is what I'm telling. That once you have been see, happy hypoxia is only presented when there is a lung affection. So in this particular way, what we have been doing is that any patient who is tested positive and is in home isolation. So what we do is that on day 4, day 10, we do their CBC, CRP, ferritin, LDH levels, and if CRP levels are elevated, after 2 days we do their HRCT chest. If on 4th day CRP levels are elevated, we do HRCT chest on day 6 or day 5, day 6. So that usually shows the lung affection, and before that person slips into any complication, we prefer shifting them.
Okay.
Yes, happy hypoxia can be prevented as well.
Okay.
But the only trouble is that now in particular, this particular time frame, I'm just adding to it, is that since again there was a lockdown in certain states or certain areas, so that as these lockdowns and these work from homes have really spoiled the lifestyle of people so badly, is that there is absolutely lack in the disciplined lifestyle, that nobody sleeps on time, nobody wakes up on time, there are no routines followed. So if suppose if your sleeping habits are totally different, so in next day when you get up, you feel body ache, you feel little bit extra lethargic, you initially consider it, अरे probably मेरा lifestyle change हुआ उसकी वजह से ये हो रहा है, and then these are the probably symptoms of COVID, and you have ignored it because you have changed your lifestyle. So this is something which is also surfaced in this particular time, or which has put us to think all these things, these other aspects of life as well. So it is very essential for you all to be observant about your own body. You should be able to sense any minutest change that is being presented in your body.
Okay. One more, sir. Last this one, when we come out of the COVID, okay, we have a reactive antibodies. Correct. We have tested that we are having reactive antibodies and all these things. And this is very just for general. I am asking this question: why after you have to wait for 6 months or 90 days and then take the vaccine and all for a preventive? So when the antibodies are already developed, you have to take the vaccine.
No, it is not necessary for you to take the vaccine. In that case, you can wait. It is a personal choice. But the thing I mentioned is because if you want to take a vaccine, you should wait at least for 6 months.
Correct. No, I am not
that
correlating
period, the
with that one.
antibodies will be generated. Yeah,
No.
If it's your personal choice, you can opt out from taking the vaccine. Absolutely.
Okay, means throughout I mean, even after 6 months also I may.
Yeah, if your antibodies are sufficient enough, you can drop out. No issues at all.
Okay, you have to take the count of antibodies, or is there any?
Preferably take a count. That's a better way to go about, a scientific way to go about.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Hello,
so much.
doctor. I am Nidhi.
Hello, I am Asbir Singh from Coimbatore.
Hello.
हेलो डॉक्टर सर।
Tell me.
हाँ, मैं कोयम्बतूर से आसफिर सिंह बोल रहा हूँ सर। मेरे को 15 जून 16 जुलाई अप्रैल को मैंने कोविड शील्ड लिया था। हेलो।
Okay.
तो उसके बाद मेरा 15 मई को मेरे एक दोस्त को थोड़ा बुखार हुआ, मैं उसके साथ कंबाइंड था और मेरे को 99 बुखार आया एक दिन के लिए, और न मेरे को बाद में कोई कुछ दूसरा इफेक्ट हुआ, और 1-2 दिन के लिए मेरी स्मेल चली गई थी, लेकिन मेरे को कुछ अंदर से डर लग रहा है कि मेरे को हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, क्या हो सकता है सर?
अगर आपका स्मेल completely चला गया था तो very bright possibility कि आपको होके गया है.
अच्छा।
But then you have not tested yourself, so it is difficult to
ना ना
comment.
ना, मैंने कोई टेस्ट
That is
नहीं किया,
not
मेरे पूरा
documented.
नहीं, मैं कोई टेस्ट नहीं किया, और मेरा पूरा स्मेल भी नहीं गया था सर। स्मेल थोड़ा सा मतलब हार्ड स्मेल था, वो आ रहा था, लेकिन लाइट स्मेल नहीं आ रहा 2 दिन के लिए।
So that is quite possibility कि COVID होके गया mild form में.
ओके सर, तो अभी मैं क्या प्रिकॉशन ले सकता हूँ सर?
Now you are gone. So general precautions ही आपको follow करने हैं और कुछ भी नहीं करना है.
नहीं, मेरे को
You
आज
have been out of it.
15 डेज हो गए मेरे को, मैं कोई मेडिसिन नहीं, मैं तो सिर्फ योगा और ये थोड़ा सा मेडिसिन कर लेता हूँ, मेरे को आता है उतना, और
तो वो
बाकी
चालू
कुछ भी नहीं है
रखिए.
इसमें।
So enjoy, चालू रखिए वो योगा और ये.
और कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी सर जी,
15
मेरे
days
कपड़े
हो गया.
वगैरह
See, you have already 15 days pass हो गया है, तो जो
हाँ,
tricky
मेरे
period
को
होता है 7 to 14 days का, वो निकल गया है. So there is nothing to worry about.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
Namaste. Hello, doctor. I'm Nidhi. I have two
Yeah, tell me.
questions.
Tell me.
एक तो डॉक्टर मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ कि कोई कोविड पॉजिटिव हो तो उसको अगर मिलना चाहते हैं तो कितने डेज बाद मिल सकते हैं?
जब उनका आइसोलेशन कंप्लीटली एंड होता है 14 डेज के बाद.
तो उसके बाद वो स्प्रेड तो नहीं कर सकते हैं ना, मतलब
नहीं.
जैसे स्प्रेडिंग तो मिल सकते हैं?
Yes.
ओके। एंड द सेकंड थिंग, मेरे को ना मैंने वैक्सीनेशन करवाया था, उसके बाद मुझे वीकनेस बहुत हो रही है, जैसे
कितने
मेरे
दिन पहले की बात है?
15 डेज हो गए मुझे। कोवैक्सीन की, तो लेग्स में थोड़ा लेथार्जिक सा फील हो रहा है मुझे।
In view of current, see the symptoms persist or symptoms occur for initial 96 hours, that is first 2 to 4 days only after the vaccination. So probably these are not the symptoms due to the vaccine. Probably this is because of the kind of a dehydration or depletion in the salt or sugar levels in the body that has resulted out of the humidity that we are experiencing and excessive heat that we are experiencing. That's probably one of the reason why you are experiencing this.
So
Less likely
मतलब
to
कुछ
be the
डाइट
vaccine.
पे भी लाइक चेंजेस लाने चाहिए या डाइट अच्छी करनी चाहिए आफ्टर वैक्सीनेशन?
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है.
ओके, थैंक यू।
Namaste, doctor.
Namaste.
I want to get the of dimer, which is a COVID-related test of blood, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if it is 1500, what are the possibilities and what it means?
So what is a D-dimer? It is like that. The virus has probabilities of forming a blood clot in the intact blood vessels. So when there is an elevation of D-dimer level, so it indicates that there is a possibility of the blood clot that has been formed, and it is releasing these fragments. Now, when a person who has got elevated D-dimer level, the person should be on the blood thinners. Either these are injectable or these are oral tablets. If the person is in the hospital setup, so they usually give the injectables on the belly, or if they are confined to the home, so in that case they give the oral tablets to keep the blood, or rather I would put forward that they give the blood thinners to keep it under control, and this D-dimer levels gradually drops down with the blood thinners without any problems.
Okay. Ecosprin, is it a blood thinner?
Ecosprin is a blood thinner, yes, it is.
Thank you, sir.
Om Namah Shivaya, Dr. Ishan.
Om Namah Shivaya.
First of all, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. Just I wanted to know one thing. Like you are practicing homeopathy, right, sir?
Right.
Yes, sir. And you are well aware about the allopathic treatment as well. So I just wanted to know how well equipped is homeopathic treatment against COVID-19, sir?
So when we talk about this particular topic, it's a little bit debatable topic at this particular time, because we are lacking the evidences in the field of homeopathy at so far as the COVID is concerned. In the milder cases, asymptomatic to milder infections, we have been able to tackle with homeopathy without any problems or without any issues. When it becomes moderate infection, it becomes little challenging, because when there is inflammation going on in the lung, and at times when you don't want to risk, because here we are not dealing with machines, we are straight away dealing with human life. So a small error of judgment may cost somebody life. So we really do not prefer gambling with somebody's life. So that is why keeping them in the medical setup is very, very essential. And once you are in a medical setup, we are not able to give homeopathic treatment because it is difficult to maintain the schedules at that time. And when we have mixed allopathy with homeopathy, so sometimes we don't understand the patient has come out of it, whether because of homeopathy or allopathy. So it is a matter of debate at times. It induces a lot of debates. So it's very hazy at this particular moment of time for me. But yeah, mild cases are very easily tackled without any complications.
Sir, I just queried this because yes, sir, I just queried this because our family doctor advised to take R6, R88, and arsenic alba, right, sir? So that we were taking. Now, like I'm in a dilemma whether I should go for vaccination or not, because
you can go for vaccination, no problem at all.
Okay, and parallelly, sir, consume the homeopathic.
That's purely your personal choice.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Good evening, doctor. Thank you so much for a lovely session, enlightening session. I have a question which is very general. There's a difference between Covishield and Covaxin, and now we're getting
Correct.
more vaccines. Which vaccine should one preferably go to? And is there an age-related vaccine which you would recommend, or just any vaccine? Because I'm in Delhi, and in Delhi, we are given the option of both Covishield and Covaxin at different centers. So what is your take in, especially since I read in the papers that if you have taken Covaxin, most of the countries are not allowing you to enter them. So what is the confusion there? Thank you.
So the Covaxin, the only issue that had happened is that the Covaxin guys had not got WHO approval, which they have already applied for, and probably in next 15 to 20 days they should be having the approval for sure. So there won't be an issue. So currently only 10 or 12 countries are only allowing for individuals who have taken Covaxin. I'm very, very sure sooner even other countries will be allowing individuals who have been vaccinated with Covaxin. And the choice of whether to go ahead with Covishield or Covaxin is totally personal. At this particular moment, the people whom I have come across have taken Covishield. I have not seen many Covaxin individuals, so it is difficult for me to predict that which is better. Or rather, if I tell that Covishield is better just because I have seen more individuals who have been who had taken Covishield, so it would be unjustified statement. So this is at this moment I'm a little bit unsure about it, but it's a purely personal choice.
Yeah, and what about Sputnik, which is coming up?
Sputnik is also equally effective. There are no issues with Sputnik's vaccine as well.
Okay, thank
but
you.
But the only thing is that Sputnik's vaccine works on again core antigen based, and at the same time the Sputnik's vaccine has to be taken, 2 doses should be separated by 21 days. So it is again not a single shot vaccine, it's a double shot vaccine actually.
No, Sputnik 5 is a single shot.
Yeah, but there have
5.
been a lot of literatures which is suggesting that you need 2 shots separated by 21 days.
Okay.
So that's why.
Okay.
I think those guidelines will be published sooner, so let's not worry at this point. We will probably discuss it at length once those guidelines are out.
Okay, thank you so much. God bless you.
Good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Geeta. I'm talking from Chennai, doctor. It's really wonderful. I got so many knowledge. I got so many information. Thanks a lot for you and my master. Just I want to ask one question that I took 2 vaccine, Covaxin, and everything I finished. And the homeopathy medicine I'm taking arsenic. That is for immunity booster, and I'm doing the ball and steaming, and some Siddha medicines also we are taking, and some Ayurvedic medicine for preventive medicine. And only I want to know that when I'm taking arsenic album weekly once, that time can I take Siddha and homeopathy? That some allopathy medicine will affect that effect of that medicine?
No, it won't affect. You can take with them, no issues at all. Just separate it by 2 hours of time frame.
Okay, morning empty stomach I'm taking weekly once, and after that, and that Siddha we are then south side we are taking Kabasura Kudini and Ashwagandha. This is only for immunity boost and strengthen my.
You can take, no issues at all.
Okay, this medicine with that I can take anything after.
100%.
Thanks a lot.
100%.
Last 5 minutes, if there is anybody who wants to ask anything.
Thank you, Master. Thanks a lot for you.
Good evening, sir. Is inhaling steam helpful in these conditions, and how many times a day? That is my only questions.
So I have not been taking any steam till date. I have not taken steam at all. It's a tricky question for me to answer because I myself have no personal experience of whether steam really helps or it doesn't help, because I myself have not experienced. As I mentioned, that I have been only following a very simple techniques that keeping myself physically fit, active, eating a healthy food, and having absolutely disciplined lifestyle, and keeping myself mentally very much strong. So that is something which has helped. Probably none of these external agencies like steam inhalation, taking any form of multivites or any nutraceutical medicines, or doing a deep hot water gargles, I have not done anything till date. So probably you can take steam. There are no issues. If you have got sinus affected, you can take steam, or if you have got allergic issues, you can take steam. Otherwise, leaving behind a mask and taking a steam will not be a good option.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening. This is Neeta Datta here. Sir, I have a question. Sir, I have certain nerve issues. So, can I take vaccine, because somebody suggested that I should
What
not
kind
be
of a nerve issue? What kind of a nerve issue?
So there is degeneration in the backbone, and I have this my left side of my body is, most of the times it, the sensation compared to the right side of the body is quite less.
See, understand, if it is a nerve compression, you can take, no issues. But if it is a demyelinating nerve disease, or any autoimmune form of a nerve disease, or autoimmune, or I forgot that particular entity. So if these are the diseases which are there, then you should not be taking. But if it is just a nerve compression related issue, then you can definitely take the vaccine, no problem. If it's an orthopedic issue, then you can definitely take a vaccine, not a problem at all. As on date, we have put probably the guys who have got autoimmune diseases on a bit of a hold at this particular moment, because we are not sure how is the cross reactivity of these vaccines and the immune system. So that's why they are still under observation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anybody wants to ask?
डॉक्टर, माइन क्वेश्चन इज कि आपने जैसे सजेस्ट किया कि माइल्ड के लिए हम होम्योपैथिक ले सकते हैं, तो स्टार्टिंग में तो जैसे माइल्ड होता है और मैं होम्योपैथिक लेना चाहती हूँ, तो लाइक वो मतलब कैसे पता लगेगा कि अब सीवियर हो रहा है, तो हमें मतलब ये सूट नहीं कर रहा है लेने के लिए?
No, it is not that way. The mild form, as in from the, if you take the medicine from the day one of the symptoms, then probably homeopathy does not let this thing to go to the moderate or severely infected cases.
Okay, so I can trust, like अगर कभी होता है तो मैं होम्योपैथिक में ले,
you can trust. The only thing is that you have to keep monitoring yourself with the blood test, the CT scan, and at the same time for the self SpO2 assessment test that is at rest, and if after 6 minutes of walk and monitoring your temperature levels.
तो अगर मुझे डे 1 से लेना है तो मुझे मतलब डॉक्टर को कंसल्ट करके उनसे होम्योपैथिक का
100%.
लेना पड़ेगा?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, just one question, sir.
Will you
As
come
you
on
said, as
camera?
you answered earlier one question.
One second.
Sir,
Come on
hello?
camera. People who are asking the questions, don't you have the sense to come on camera and ask the question?
Sorry. Sorry, actually, I didn't notice my camera is on off actually.
Okay, just let the face be there, nothing else.
Yeah. Sir, I'm suffering from trigeminal neuralgia for the past 3.5 years. Like, is it advisable to take vaccine? As you earlier answered.
Yes, you can take trigeminal neuralgia. I think you
Yeah.
are safe to take the vaccine. No issues with that.
Okay, because I'm consuming homeopathic medicine actually on a daily basis, so I can't stop taking medicine each day. I have to take medicine.
You will not be required to stop the medicines. You will not be required to stop the medicines.
After taking the vaccine, I can continuously take the
100%. 100%.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now you may go off camera.
Thank you.
Okay, Ishan, it was a very informative session for a lot. And all that I would like to add here is the medicine, the vaccine, all that is fine. But remain strong here in your mind, in your spirit. That's the most important thing. The vaccine will come, but before the vaccine gets into you, there is still some time. The government is not allotting vaccines so easily. So by the time it reaches you, you should remain in a state of mind which is positive. So all that I would ask everyone here is to remain in a state of positivity, do whatever inspires you. If there is somebody in the house who's infected by it, you got all the information, what is to be done and what is not to be done. Don't get into a panic mode. Please do not get into a panic mode. Panic is the first opening of that door through which this disease will come in and take over completely. So please do not get into any panicky situations. And as I think I heard it right, I was there for a bit. Dr. Ishan was talking about the feel-good hormone release, the endorphin release that happens. So how important is the rest of the things that we do? If there is somebody who becomes very emotional about certain things, gets into arguments unnecessarily, gets into fights unnecessarily, gets into a situation where sorrow is pulled in, which is not needed. These are things that will dampen your spirit. Alcohol also. It will dampen this spirit. Okay? So don't think that to get out of, something, you use something which is not really needed. Okay? Yeah. And eat right, but not too much. Yeah, a healthy diet is a must, but that healthy diet only should stick to or remain to only that much. Don't force feed yourselves. I'm just trying to make things light here because we need to make things light. Okay. Yeah. So it was a beautiful session, Ishan. Lots of love to you. May you just keep growing as a human being. That's all I would say. So yeah, we might be calling you again for a session, maybe some other time when you are free comparatively. And everybody here is quite happy that you were here. That's something that can be seen on everyone's face. So yeah, lots of thanks and lots of love to you.
Sir, just one thing I would like to add is that this was the only thing probably I was missing in my COVID scenario. Yes, I have worked up on several YouTube videos for home isolation, how to take care of home isolation patients, etc. And there are a couple couple of videos on post-COVID recovery, that how to go about and
Hmm.
how a healthcare professional should look after his or her own health.
Hmm.
This is probably one of the platform which was missing, or I had not touched till date, that addressing a population at a larger scale. Probably that is something which I worked again. So I'm really happy that in the times of pandemic, I have almost touched each and every aspect of the scenario,
Yeah,
working from the
yeah.
baseline to now serving the community directly. And I'm really thankful for inviting me. It will be, it's indeed it's a pleasure on my end that I could spread the knowledge, and I'm very sure that each one who had attended this session would probably spread this positivity across amongst the people along the side. And yes, you absolutely correctly stated that a positive state of mind is very, very essential. That's a time probably you were not there, sir, in the session, that we had seen guys with even in the ICU setups staying for 68 days and recovering just through a positive state of mind.
Hmm.
A strong-hearted or a brave minds have recovered so fantastically, and
Yeah.
feeble-minded individuals succumbing in just no time.
True,
So
true.
yes, the positivity has works fantastically.
Hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So there's one more invite for you. You can join us on our GJ Zanata Zoom sessions for meditations and breath work. So this is a invite to you, and you can also suggest your people back at the hospital to join in.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Lots of love to you, Ishan. And
Thank you so much, sir.
yeah, all that.
My
Yeah.
pleasure to
Is
be
there any
here.
one last question if there is anybody, but it has to be a sensible one. Sensible one.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Dr. Ishan, when a person is down with COVID, his spirits are low, the family is low, and the family tends to make you feel low. At that time, how does one make the patient feel positive? Is very important, but how to do it? Please do tell.
Okay. So the very, very simple thing that I usually tell my patients is that those whom I have been treating in home isolation, or those who are in contact with me for some or the other reason because of the COVID, I simply tell them that whatever you look after your mental health, whatever happens physically, I am there to look after everything. And whatever any new symptoms you are experiencing, or there is any alteration in your oxygen level, you report it to me. I'm very, very sure we will be able to take care of this thing easily. When it comes to the entire family, that yes, there are fears, there are possibilities, that because we stay in a country where we are staying quite a few families have been staying in the joint family culture, that there is a senior citizen in the house, and if somebody who of a younger population getting affected, so senior citizens are at risk, or somebody that is a small child, so they have got this fear. So in that case, just if they are following the basic protocols of home isolation very nicely, we do not see any problems. We do not see any problems at all. In that case, uh, what really helps to keep a mindset positive is a good amount of basic exercises in your own rooms, talking to positive people, listening to some motivational music, motivational videos. Now, I will just share one example. Is in the month of June, I was doing double shifts. Like I was working from afternoon 1 to night 11, and from night 11 to morning 7. So these I was working for 16 to 18 hours in a day. In that time frame, my dad himself got COVID infected. He had a lung infection. He was home isolated, and I was not there in the house at all. I and my wife, we both are doctors. We both are working for COVID patients from, as ma'am mentioned, or as Guruji also mentioned, from the day one. So at that time, we were not there in the house only because we thought that if we keep on coming into the house, probably we would spread, or we would risk other individuals as well. So I was just doing a tele consultation, or or a video calls to my dad, and I was speaking to him that whatever is the case, just stay positive. You listen to some of the good inspirational music, good inspirational video, do these basic exercises. Whatever is the case, I am there to look after everything. You don't worry at all. So these are some of the things that has helped him. And this is the time when it is just before the first wave, when we were not even aware that what are the medications that we should be giving him. And he recovered fantastically. And with 20% of lung infection, he treated at home, which worked for me. And it just told me that a strong mindset is what all that is essential for a person.
That's bravo. Really good. Good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we will be taking a lead here now. Yeah, is there somebody who wants to ask anything? Last question.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन नहीं है, एक रिक्वेस्ट है।
5 हो गया खत्म।
एक रिक्वेस्ट है छोटा सा। सर उड़ीसा में होम्योपैथी के डॉक्टर्स मैंने बहुत ट्राई किया, बहुत अच्छे मतलब नहीं मिले कोई। और सर ईशान सर बहुत अच्छे डॉक्टर हैं, बहुत अच्छे से समझाते हैं। जैसे हम लोग चाहेंगे कि और एक बार हमको सेशन हम लोग करना चाहेंगे।
हम लोग करेंगे एक बार और डॉक्टर ईशान को बुलाएंगे।
जैसे सर हाँ, जो जैसे एंडोमेट्रियोसिस का कोई भी इलाज नहीं है, ना आयुर्वेदिक में है ना इसमें है, लेकिन होम्योपैथी में ठीक हो सकता है, मैंने देखा था यूट्यूब में। तो लेकिन डॉक्टर होम्योपैथिक के कोई नहीं मिले यहाँ पे। और जिनको भी बोलो आप एंडोमेट्रियोसिस है, चॉकलेट सिस्ट है, तो सबको किसी को नहीं पता। पीसीओडी सबको पता है, लेकिन चॉकलेट सिस्ट के बारे में किसी को नहीं पता। भुवनेश्वर भी गई थी, तो इसीलिए शायद ईशान सर के पास वैसे तो आपकी वजह से मेरा अभी पेन नहीं होता। अगर मैं होम्योपैथी कंटिन्यू करूँ तो शायद उसका इलाज होम्योपैथी में है। थैंक यू सर।
Ishan, is there anything you want to say or should we move on? Okay, Anita, कुछ पूछना है? हाँ, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, म्यूट पे हैं आप।
अभी आ रही है। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। मैंने सब मेरे को मेरे अपने क्वेश्चन खुद हो गए हैं।
आपकी आवाज ठीक से नहीं आ रही है अनीता जी, आप चाहो।
थैंक यू सर।
ओके, इसके अलावा
थैंक यू सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन मेरे डाउट क्लियर हो गया है।
बहुत अच्छा फिर। ओके, तो इसके अलावा we will be having one more session next week related to this with Dr. Kedar Kajale. He's one of the pioneers in Sujuk therapy. So we will be calling him also. So, okay. So Dr. Ishan, it was a lovely session here. It was beautiful to have you here, and lots of gratitude, lots of love. So we are ending the session here, and Reshma Rani, your question, I think, was answered by his silence. I don't know. It was about COVID, Baba, dear. Okay. So, ठीक है.
सर नेक्स्ट टाइम अगर होगा तो और एक सेशन अगर अरेंज कराएंगे।
यस तो बिल्कुल ठीक है।
हाँ,
ओके।
इस बार नहीं बोला मैंने बोला सर अच्छे डॉक्टर हैं और इनके पास पक्का मेरे इलाज होगा इसका, क्योंकि ओडिशा में नहीं मिले कोई। थैंक यू।
ओके,
थैंक यू गणेश जी।
यस पूर्णिमा जी, lots of love to you.
Love to you too.
Yes. Dr. Ishan, would you like to join us again? It's purely up to you. And whenever you are free, one of the weekends, okay?
Sure.
So it will be great. Okay.
Surely, sir.
So lots of love to everyone. Om Namah Shivaya. Aham Prema.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, sir. Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Om Namah Shivaya, sir.
Aham Prema.
Sir.